Welcome to the show, folks. Today we're diving deep into a world most of us only see in movies. The world's most secure prisons. These are the places where governments send the baddest of the bad, the criminals who need to disappear from society. We're talking about fortresses disguised as penitentiaries, institutions designed to make escape practically impossible. Think about it, man, the engineering and psychology that goes into building and running these places, it's mind-blowing. Over the next hour, we're going to break down 10 of the most secure prisons on the planet. From solitary confinement cells to high-tech surveillance, we're going to see it all. So buckle up and get ready for a wild ride. All right, let's kick things off with a place called ADX Florence, also known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies. This supermax prison in Colorado houses some of the most dangerous criminals in the US, guys who are considered a serious threat even within the prison system. We're talking about terrorists, mob bosses, serial killers, the real deal. Inmates spend 23 hours a day locked in solitary confinement in soundproof cells. They get minimal human contact, and even their exercise time is spent in a concrete pit, open to the sky. Imagine that, man. You're completely isolated, surrounded by concrete and steel, with nothing but your thoughts. It's designed to break you, to make you regret every bad decision you ever made. And if you think about trying to escape, forget about it. The entire facility is surrounded by razor wire fences, laser beams, pressure pads, and heavily armed guards. These guys are trained to shoot to kill, no hesitation. ADX Florence is the definition of maximum security, a place where hope goes to die. It's a chilling reminder of the kind of darkness that exists in the world. So, we just talked about ADX Florence, but did you know there's another high-security prison right next door? It's called USP Florence AdMax, and it's just as intense. This place is all about control, man. Inmates here are under constant surveillance with cameras watching their every move. They're only allowed out of their cells for a few hours a day. And even then, they're shackled and escorted by multiple guards. Forget about talking to other inmates, that's strictly forbidden. The goal here is to prevent any kind of communication, any chance of a riot or an escape plan forming. They even monitor phone calls and mail, censoring anything that could be considered a security risk. We're talking about serious lockdown, folks. This is next-level incarceration. Now we got to talk about Alcatraz, man. This place is legendary, a true icon of American prison history. Located on an island in San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz was once considered the most secure prison in the world. From 1934 to 1963, it housed some of the most notorious criminals in America, guys like Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Stroud. The Birdman of Alcatraz. The idea was simple. Put the worst of the worst on an island. Surrounded by freezing cold water and treacherous currents, and escape becomes nearly impossible. And you know what? It worked. There were 14 documented attempts to escape Alcatraz, but none of them was successful. Some inmates drowned, some were shot, and some were never seen again. Today, Alcatraz is a museum, a chilling reminder of a time when prisons were as tough as the criminals they held. Chapter 4, La Sainte Prison, French Fortress of Fear. Let's hop across the pond to France, where we find La Sainte Prison, a name that strikes fear into the hearts of criminals all over Europe. This place is known for its brutal conditions and its incredibly tight security. We're talking 19th century architecture, thick walls, and a location right in the heart of Paris. It's been around since 1867, and let me tell you, it's seen some things. The guards at La Sainte are a different breed, man. They're known for their strictness, and they don't hesitate to use force to maintain order. Prisoners here have organized hunger strikes and riots over the years, protesting the overcrowding, the lack of hygiene, and the overall brutality of the place. But, despite the controversy, La Sainte remains one of the most secure prisons in France, a stark reminder of the price of breaking the law in that country. Chapter 5, Fuchu Prison High-Tech Isolation in Japan. Now let's head over to Japan, where they do things a little differently. Fuchu Prison is a high-security facility that's known for its strict adherence to rules and its emphasis on rehabilitation. It's also a technological marvel, man. We're talking about multiple layers of electric fencing, motion sensors, and surveillance cameras everywhere. But here's the thing, Fuchu Prison is also known for its focus on prisoner reform. They offer educational programs, vocational training, and even therapy sessions. The idea is to help inmates reintegrate into society once they're released, to give them a chance at a normal life. It's a fascinating approach, and it seems to be working. Fuchu Prison has a surprisingly low recidivism rate, meaning fewer inmates end up back behind bars after they're released. It's proof that sometimes rehabilitation can be just as effective as punishment. Chapter 6. HMP Belmarsh, Britain's most watched. Back in the UK, they've got HMP Belmarsh, a maximum security prison that's often referred to as Britain's Guantanamo Bay. This place is reserved for the most serious offenders, including terrorists, extremists, and those considered a threat to national security. HMP Belmarsh is all about high-tech surveillance. We're talking facial recognition software, biometric scanners, and enough CCTV cameras to rival a casino in Vegas. But it's not just the technology that makes Belmarsh so secure, it's the staff. The guards here are highly trained, and they're always on alert for any sign of trouble. They've got a zero-tolerance policy for any kind of disruption, and they're quick to use force if necessary. It's a tough place, no doubt about it, but it's designed to be that way. Chapter 7. Rikers Island, New York City's island of infamy. You've probably heard of Rikers Island, man. It's infamous. This place is a sprawling jail complex located on an island in New York City's East River. It's been featured in countless movies and TV shows, and for good reason. Rikers has a long and troubled history, plagued by violence, corruption, and inhumane conditions. It's been the subject of numerous lawsuits and investigations, and it's been called a national disgrace. But despite its problems, Rikers remains a formidable obstacle for anyone hoping to escape. The island itself is a natural barrier, and the waters around it are patrolled by armed guards. Getting off Rikers is about as easy as escaping from Alcatraz, which is to say, damn near impossible. It's a place where hope goes to die, and where the worst of New York City ends up. Chapter 8. Black Dolphin Prison, Russia's brutal holding ground. All right, now we're going deep into Russia, to a place called Black Dolphin Prison. This is one of the most feared prisons in the world, and for good reason. It's located near the Kazakhstan border, and it houses some of Russia's most dangerous criminals. We're talking about serial killers, terrorists, and members of the Russian mafia. These guys are the real deal, and they're kept under constant surveillance in Black Dolphin. The conditions here are brutal, man. Inmates spend 23 hours a day in tiny cells, and they're only allowed out for an hour of exercise in a slightly larger cage. They're shackled whenever they leave their cells, and they are always escorted by at least 2 guards. There's no talking allowed during these movements, and inmates are forced to walk bent over at the waist, making it impossible for them to see where they're going. Chapter 9. Pelican Bay State Prison, California's concrete jungle. Let's head back to the United States, to Pelican Bay State Prison in California. This place is notorious for its use of solitary confinement, and it's been the subject of numerous lawsuits and investigations. Pelican Bay is divided into 2 sections, the general population and the Security Housing Unit, or SU. The SU is where they send the worst of the worst, the gang leaders, the shot callers, the guys who are considered too dangerous for the general population. Inmates in the SIU spend 23 hours a day in tiny windowless cells, and they're only allowed out for an hour of exercise in a small concrete yard. They have very limited contact with the outside world, and they're constantly monitored by guards. Pelican Bay is a tough place, man, and it's designed to break you. Chapter 10. Tadmor Prison, Syria's desert nightmare. Finally, we come to Tadmor Prison, located in the Syrian desert. This place is the stuff of nightmares, man. It's been described as one of the most brutal prisons in the world, and it's been the site of some of the most horrific human rights abuses imaginable. Tadmor was built by the French in the 1930s, and it's been used by the Syrian government to silence political dissidents, journalists, and anyone else who dares to speak out against the regime. The conditions inside Tadmor are beyond horrific. We're talking about torture, starvation, disease, and summary executions. Thousands of prisoners are believed to have died within Tadmor's walls, and those who have survived have come out with horrific stories of what they endured. Tadmor Prison is a stain on humanity, a chilling reminder of the capacity for cruelty that exists within us all. It was demolished in 2015, but its legacy of horror lives on. Outro, that's a wrap on the world's toughest prisons. Well, folks, there you have it. 10 of the most secure prisons on the planet. From supermax facilities to island fortresses, we've seen it all today. These places are a testament to human ingenuity, both in their construction and in the methods used to control the people inside them. But they're also a stark reminder of the dark side of humanity, the capacity for violence and evil that exists within us all. So, next time you're feeling down about your current situation, just remember these places. It could always be worse. You could be stuck in one of these concrete jungles with nothing but your thoughts and the echoing clang of a cell door slamming shut. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating content. Let us know in the comments which prison you think is the most secure.